What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Solo Leveling. This is episode 8. With me, as always, I have Blue Spade. I think we mentioned this already, but there was a recap episode before this, which I think was just episode 7.5. But yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need to watch that, obviously, to watch this one because, of course, it just picks up where the last episode left off anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Solo Leveling's not the only show that's been that had their show
I
delayed
know
for a
some people
week.
were confused
I
about
mean,
why there was a recap episode because they were thinking it had something to do with I guess production issues. But people were saying I guess that the series was planned out from the beginning, so there wasn't really any kind of I guess there wasn't really actually any production issues or anything like that. I guess it was
no,
already
no, it's
planned that
it,
there was
it's
going to be a recap episode.
supposedly there's like there was like some special event going on in Japan that I don't know about. It didn't just affect Solo Leveling; it affected every other show that anime series that
Oh, okay.
that was supposed to be airing that week. But apparently, they decided to postpone that postpone all their shows until the following week after.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's not much of a production issue or anything like that. It's just I think Japan normally does this whenever there's some kind of big event or if there's a major storm headed their way.
Yeah,
They've done this before. But yeah, for the episode itself, um, about 80-ish% of this episode is anime original content,
that's interesting.
and I suppose that there is a good reason for that because in the actual web novel or manhwa, you don't really get to see a lot of the characters getting developed outside of Sung because it so far at this point of the manhwa, going all the way up at this point of the manhwa, you're only focused on Sung the entire time. You don't really get to see a lot of the other characters like Chahin or Juhi or what was it, Jinho
Hmm.
as well. So we get to see like a lot of the other characters, and what what they're doing, as well as like hinting at a major story arc that's coming up, which they mentioned. What was it, the Jeju Island arc that's going to be coming up later on in the story. I don't know if it's going to be adapted based on how many episodes are left, but it's possible that could be the finale of this season. I'm not really sure. It's hard to tell based on how much content is left uh going into like four more episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, four more episodes
Yeah, I
left.
mean, I wonder if the decision behind this episode being mostly anime original content was something that the production committee or the production staff came up with, or if maybe like the original creator is actually working with them and he decided he wanted to like maybe sort of like make some changes to it, because usually that's
I would
tends to happen with some anime adaptations if like the original if like the original mangaka is involved and to any extent like they tend to make a lot of like decisions like that if they want to make changes uh to the source material or whatever. Um s- yeah
Yeah. Um so um so okay. So much of much of this episode is of course it switches over to several different character viewpoints outside of Sung. I mean, for Sung, like we see him visiting his comatose mother after the events of the last episode, fighting that giant Cerberus monster. Of course, he of course leaves the dungeon because he knows he's currently not strong enough uh, to go further into the dungeon without getting himself killed. So as of right now, he's looking to level up even further. Of course, the first person he goes back to is of course Jiho, by accepting his request and in creating a guild under one condition that only him and Jinho uh, are the ones participating in the raids. But of course, Jinho mentions that it needs to be up to at least the guild has to have at least 8 people uh, for them to qualify. So Sung uh, is not against having more people, but he says like just put them onto the sidelines while him and Jiho really do most of the heavy lifting.
yeah, of course. like Jinho or yeah, Jiho reluctantly agrees to it, um, because he was kind of wanting to. Of course, as we know, he wanted to set up this guild with Sung, and I guess it took Sung trying to fight that Cerberus by himself that made him realize that he can't really go into these dungeons by him or just like solo them. I guess so. He actually needs a group of people to help him out. Um, but yeah, so that I guess that's he said that they're going to handle it like Dong Suk did where when they went into that one dungeon. But I'm assuming they're not really going to like they're going to sacrifice people or whatever like Dong Suk was doing. They're just going to I guess use them for support or something like that.
Yeah. So and of course we do get like a scene with was it Jinho and his father, uh, with his father discussing about like how things have changed once like I guess the gate opened with all with all the monsters showing up and the establishment of the hunters guilds,
Mm.
and of course like that their like industrial business has fallen as a result.
He said there's like
So
five different, I guess, like subgroups or something or factions within the Hunters Association.
mhm. Yeah, and of course Juhi, knowing the situation that his family is going through, it's the reason why he wants to create the guild in the first place. So is that his family business doesn't suffer under the weight of everything that's going on.
Yeah. Also, we do get that scene. Well, we get some scenes with Chai Hyen, uh, one of which where she's approached by this person who I guess offers to have her like be the head of a guild, which I think she turns down because there's a scene later where she goes to visit. I forget what his name is, but the one of the Hunters Association members, and tells him that I think that she or at least tells him that she was approached by this person. I'm wondering if that
Yeah.
is something that gets brought up here because maybe it's something that happens later on in the story and it wasn't really gone over beforehand or something. So maybe they decided to have this anime original scene to sort of set that up. I'm guessing is why that was put in here. I'm not really sure, but
Well, there is a good reason as to why Chahain refused to accept the offer in the first place. Because which of course like I'm not going to reveal it right
yeah.
now. Yeah, but it will get explained later
Well,
on in the
I
story
mean,
if assuming if they get to that
yeah, I
point.
was gonna say
But
too. Like, I mean, it was cool to at least see Chahain, do something because we've just kind of heard about her doing things, and she hasn't really been involved much in the story. I'm guessing maybe she'll be involved more so later on, but like so far in the series, she's really not had that many scenes. Even though she's
yeah,
been built up to be like
it
this really like, like this really skilled, powerful, hunter.
yeah, it's just it's not until the Jeju Island arc is when Chahain and the other S rank hunters will make a more prominent appearance,
Okay.
and of course like and then Sung will also take part in that as well. But as of right now, I just don't know how if they'll get to that point with with the 4 episodes they have left.
Yeah. I mean, probably not, but we have another
Mhm.
character too. I forget his name as well, but like there's, I think we did see him in the beginning of the series where we saw what happened during the fight on the island, and he's kind of like I guess he's talking about how he doesn't want to go back to the island, or he's at least I guess reluctant to go back because of what happened to one of his friends during that part of the story. Well, I guess he got killed in front of him or something.
Yeah, yeah, it's another like instance in which they're hinting at the upcoming Jeju Island arc. Yeah, he talks about his personal backstory of like what happened. I think they showed this scene
Yeah.
um back in the prologue of the first episode, so it has something to do with that. But beyond that, we don't really get to learn anything else further.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm kinda glad that that they added these types of scenes. I mean, like I said, about 80% of this episode is anime original content, showcasing all the other characters that haven't been prominently featured in the web novel. So it's I think it's a good thing that they're showing them off here, but it's limited at best because of uh, just due to the lack of involvement that Shahain and the other S rank hunters are in up to this point of the story.
Yeah, I mean, also speaking of characters that we haven't really seen for a while, we also see the healer girl show up again. Uh, I think like all of them get like this. I think like an invitation sent out to them to come and help out in like a was it like a D rank dungeon or something, uh,
I I think
or
it's no, I
or
think
a
it was a
C rank
C
dungeon.
rank
Yeah.
mission, wasn't it?
But yeah, she eventually shows up. She we see some scenes with her of like I guess she had some kind of strained relationship with her mother or something. And I guess it kind of makes sense that she hasn't really shown up much because she's just I guess been mostly locked in a room for most of the series so far. Um, and she just like is I guess just it just also establishes I guess she doesn't have a good relationship with her mom. Um, but we see her, and we also see some of the other people who were involved with who were involved with that incident in the beginning of the series where they were locked in that room. Uh, and
Yeah.
one of the people that we see is that guy that got his arm or that lost his arm, and we see like how he's dealing with it, as well as I think this other person who's also like who also made it out, and we see like him and his family. And I guess it was kind of interesting to see them like reunite again with Sung, and just to see like I guess how he's like changed. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, but so I mean, I
Yeah.
did like at least if that's anime original, I like that they kind of went back to those characters, especially since like we hadn't really seen them since the beginning of the series.
Yeah. So all the Sung and the other members that he was with back in the first episode, they're also joined by three C rank hunter convicts uh, that were also invited to join them, and they're also accompanied by like an overseer, a B rank overseer that'll look after these prisoners. It's strange because they said the reason they're bringing in the prisoners is to reduce their sentences, and of course they're uh, th- like I guess under like the Hunters Association's assurances that these prisoners won't like say go around and stab each person in the back for whatever reason. But it's a little bit skeptical about like what the reason for all these prisoners are even doing in the in a raid like
Yeah, I have a
this.
feeling that they're going to try to find some way to get around those rules, and do something. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode. Even though it wasn't really it didn't really have any fight scenes or anything like that. It was mostly just like uh, showing some of these characters we haven't seen for a while and just sort of telling us like what's been going on with them, as well as just I guess as well as some world building with the Honors Association and talking some more or just telling us some more about how it operates. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent episode. Um, yeah, I'm kind of excited to see where it goes from here and like how, well, like I mean, what kind of issues is obviously going to crop up with these like these convicts being involved in this dungeon they're going into.
Yeah. I mean, it's also still unfortunate. I mean, I'm still griping about this ever since the show started, is because that this is only like 12 episodes so far, and with the amount of content that's only being adapted. I mean, as I said before, like the one of the biggest story arcs I mentioned is the Jeju Island arc,
Yeah.
which is coming up later, but I still don't know. I mean, it would likely have to be at a second season or a second core if they're planning on releasing it. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like if they're already kind of
that's
setting that up, then maybe they plan for there eventually to be a second core, if they're setting up for that arc.
yeah. I mean, yeah. The Jeju storyline is one of the biggest storylines in comparison. to the ones we've seen so far.
Mhm.
I mean, it not only develops like Sung, as a much more stronger hunter, but it'll be like one of the moments where he'll get to meet the S rank hunters for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at least then we'll get to see actually get to see Chahine actually do, actually fighting or interacting with Sung.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, but yeah,
yeah,
overall,
go ahead.
overall, this was an interesting episode. Like, I did like the fact that um, that they're developing a lot of the other characters that weren't originally in this point of the story, but I think it's necessary considering, like, that we don't really get to see a lot of these characters outside of Sung for the majority of the show so far.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe there'll be some more anime original content later on too, just to maybe further develop some of the side characters, or maybe like address some of the mistakes the source material made in certain regards.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Like I said, it's pretty decent. It's just it's just going by the amount of content we have left. 4 episodes left. It's this. I just don't know like how much like they're gonna end up covering before the Jeju arc.
Hmm.
I mean, it would like they would likely have to announce another season after this is
Do you
done.
think like maybe it might end sort of like going into the Jeju arc, like maybe just like setting it up or something, or just like maybe teasing it, I guess.
I say there's still gonna be a lot of setup in the Jeju
Yeah,
arc. It's this season in particular. It's more of an introductory arc for Sung, getting his footing about like how to work the system and leveling
yeah,
up. But in terms of like other characters we get to see, it's just you know they're not gonna have a much more prominent role probably until uh, the season after this one.
hmm,
I mean, yeah, sure, we get to see them here and there, but their role has been fairly minimal in comparison to Song.
yeah, yeah. I mean, hopefully they can get more screen time, and just get some more development later on. Um, but yeah, so that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.